And welcome back to Washington Commanders Insider. Today we're going to be looking at the most recent injury update around the Washington Commanders. We're also going to be looking at why this is a must-win for the Washington Commanders to hold on to a very good, favorable playoff seed for this team. And we're also going to be looking at a major key to this upcoming game that could help the Washington Commanders not only for this game against the Dallas Cowboys, but for their playoff run. And so let's go ahead and start with the first thing, and that is the Commanders injury report. So we actually get some good news in regards to the Washington Commanders injury report right now, because currently we knew that we had some players that were questionable going into this, especially we knew that Terry McLaurin had popped up onto the injury report, and it looks like that he is going to be okay. There is no injury designation for him. He is not listed. He was a full practice participant the last 2 days, and so he is not on the injury report after popping up with an ankle injury. We also are going to get our right tackle, Andrew Wiley. He's going to be available. He suffered a groin injury versus the Eagles. He was a full practice participant, so that is a good sign. Also, we had De'Ami Brown. He suffered a hamstring injury versus the Eagles. He was a full practice participant, so it looks like that he has no injury designation as well, so that is a good sign. We're also going to get a little bit of a boost defensively. We get Cleveland Farrell, who is going to be out there. He has no injury designation after being on the injury report with a knee injury. And so I think some of the more significant injuries that we have for this upcoming game is that Marshawn Lattimore has been officially ruled out for this game. So he is not going to be out there for the second straight game. So he's not there. Then we also will not have our safety, Tyler Owens. He is going to be out for the second straight game with an ankle injury. Jordan McGee is going to be out with a hamstring injury. And then also, too, on the doubtful list, we have Tyler Biadasz, who suffered an ankle injury versus the Falcons. And so it looks like that he is probably likely going to be out, going to be coming back for the playoffs, hopefully. And then also to Cornelius Lucas, who suffered a groin injury. He should be back for the playoffs. And so the best update that we have in regards to the injuries are that Austin Ekeler has had his 21-day practice window opened up, and he has a possible chance to return in this game. So a recent report that I read suggests that Austin Ekeler, they're going to make a decision on him. And so I did talk about this a couple videos ago, that he had been trending very well. And I think that this is going to be huge if Austin Ekeler is in fact activated to the Washington Commanders for this upcoming game. I think that this gives him a chance to really get some rhythm as the Washington Commanders get ready to go into the playoffs. And Austin Ekeler, I think, has really been a huge impact for this team. I know that the numbers, don't really jump out as a wow factor, but make no mistake about it, I think that he's made some incredible plays for Jaden Daniels, with the run after catch situation. And he's been a great change in pace back for this team. Excuse me. So some of the numbers for Austin Ekeler this year: 74 carries, 355 yards for 4 touchdowns. And he's also got 33 passes or catches, for 346 yards. And I really think that, he had an outside chance to maybe be an alternate here for the Pro Bowl had he continued to be playing, because he's had a pretty good average after catch. And so I think now that you bring Austin Ekeler back, he's going to certainly be able to attack the middle of the field. And he also gives us a nice change in pace back there as well. So I think that he's going to be able to really exploit some of these defenses with some of these outside runs and things like that. So super excited to see that Austin Ekeler might be returning back to the Washington Commanders. And so next, I wanted to go ahead and talk about the Washington Commanders and the importance that they win this football game. Because you see this right now. This is an article that is talking about Joe Witt Jr. and just talking about that the Washington Commanders really need to win this football game. And totally agree. I mean, because I know going into this last week, we see that the Rams, excuse me, they're going to be resting some players. You have the Eagles, they're going to be resting some players. And the Washington Commanders, we're going into this thing full on. We're coming into this thing as if, we haven't clinched or anything like that. Now, that could change if the Washington Commanders are able to hopefully take care of business maybe in the first half, and then you're able to take some players out. But this is very important that the Washington Commanders do get this game because, as talked about before, we're looking at this seeding possibility. So right now, the Washington Commanders are 6th. And so if the Washington Commanders win and the Green Bay Packers lose here, nothing changes and the Washington Commanders stay in the 6th seed. If Washington wins and Green Bay wins, nothing changes. Washington will stay in the 6th seed there. If Washington loses and Green Bay wins, the Commanders are going to fall to the 7th seed and the Packers would go to the 6th seed. If both teams lose, then nothing changes there. As far as the 3-4 seeds here, and I just talked about the Rams and Eagles, they're resting some players. And so the Rams, if they win and Tampa Bay loses, the Rams are going to remain the 3rd seed. The Bucs are going to be the 4th seed. The Rams win and the Buccaneers win. Rams still going to stay the 3rd seed. Bucs 4th seed. If the Rams lose and the Bucs win, that means that the Rams are the 4th seed and the Bucs are the 3rd seed. And so what this ultimately means for Washington is that they need to take care of business because you want to go against, I think, the Los Angeles Rams or the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Don't get me wrong. I don't have an issue with the Commanders falling down to the 7th seed. They would have to take on the Eagles. Excuse me there. They would have to take on the Eagles, and we've just beaten the Eagles. That's fine. But I think that for this team, I would like to see them go against, I think, a team like the Rams or the Buccaneers in the first round. Don't get me wrong, you're going to eventually have to face the Eagles, but I just like that matchup to start off a little bit better for this football team. But don't get me wrong, like I said, this football team wants all the smoke. I don't have an issue if they were to fall to the 7th seed and take on the Eagles. I think that this team is special. And, I think that this is why the importance to win this football game is going to be there for the Washington Commanders. And so next up, let's go ahead and jump into, I think, a major key for this upcoming game against the Dallas Cowboys. And I think that this key really is going to be a key that the Washington Commanders can use, not just for this game coming up against Dallas, but it is going to be critical, I think, for our playoff run. And so jumping into it, the one thing that the Washington Commanders have really struggled with is stopping the run. And so I think that this is going to be a game where the key number 2 is really cleaning up some things. All right. And so starting with the running game, we have not been able to stop the run. And so credit to the defense for the last 2 weeks. We've been able to slow Saquon Barkley down and Bijan Robinson in the second half, thankfully there. But we have got to make sure now that we start to jump on these teams early because, in playoff football, the air suddenly comes out of the football, especially if you're playing outdoors. Then you're going to see a lot more teams go to the run to try to set up the pass that way. And so the Washington Commanders need to figure out a way to really dominate up front on the line of scrimmage and get to these running backs before they get started. And there is going to be plenty to play for in this one because I know the Dallas Cowboys are not going to the playoffs, but I've talked about this, that there are several different free agents out there. They're auditioning for jobs in the NFL. You have Mike McCarthy, who is out there maybe coaching maybe his last game for the Dallas Cowboys. I don't know. This isn't Dallas Insider. This is Washington Commanders Insider. Who knows what's going on there in Dallas? But Rico Dowdle, he is a player that has actually had a very good season for this football team. He's quietly over 1,000 yards. He's averaging 4.5 yards a carry. And so Joe Witt Jr., you see him talking about winning this game. I'd have to think that winning means you need to come out, win at the line of scrimmage, Be disciplined in your run lanes. Make sure that you're tackling Rico Dowdle and any running back that is going to be playing for the Washington or for Dallas, excuse me, because this is what teams are going to want to do to the Washington Commanders. They're going to try to attack us on the ground. And so I think that this is a great time for the Commanders to really set the tempo as they get ready for the playoffs. And so you know that this team is going to run the football. They don't have CeeDee Lamb out there. And also, too, Trey Lance. I saw that there is a report that suggests that Trey Lance is going to be playing some significant snaps. Now, will he start over Cooper Rush? I don't know. But we do know that Trey Lance is also a very mobile quarterback. So you're going to have this opportunity now as a defense to really lock in on this because you might see this in the playoffs. And so hopefully the Washington Commanders can clean that up. Next up, penalties. All right. And so, look, this is not really talked about with the Washington Commanders because we've really been able to, overcome this. But this is something that the Washington Commanders have got to clean up because last week against the Falcons, 13 times, 108 yards as far as the penalties are concerned. And the first 2 weeks of the season, the Washington Commanders were a pretty good penalized team here, 17 times. And right now, at the time of this recording, the Washington Commanders are actually the 11th most penalized team in the NFL right now with 106, and they're ranked ninth as far as yards at 905. And so that's not ideal for the football team. But like I said, this Commanders team has been able to overcome it. But it is time to really clean this stuff up because when you get into the playoffs, every yard matters. And I've talked about how efficient this team has been. You don't want to get yourself into situations where you're constantly backing yourself up. And granted, that last game against the Falcons, some of these holding calls, I mean, that was ridiculous. But again, I'm not a ref, anything like that. But still, this is something that the Washington Commanders will really need to clean up as they make their playoff push, because I guarantee you, as they play clean football and this team continues to play with the amount of guts that they play with and just the way that they continue to respond and make plays out there, not just on the offensive end and the defensive end, this is a team that can do something really, really special. And so I'm super excited for the Washington Commanders. So let me know in the comments what you think about this recent injury update where we might get Austin Ekeler back. Let me know about this major key here about cleaning up this some of the things that the Washington Commanders have struggled with penalties, and then also to stopping running backs before they get started, and then also to the Washington Commanders going all in on this game because they need to win to secure that 6th seed. So let me know. This is Washington Commanders Insider. We'll be talking more Washington Commanders football. I'll see you on the next one. All right. Go Commanders. Peace, peace, peace.